Thanks for checking out Pac-10 Sports Talk. We're in week 11. We're moving into our predictions right now. We got 4 games in the Pac-10 this weekend. The first up, we've got Washington State University playing Oregon State University. Joel, give it to me. What do you think?
Well, reason for optimism for Washington State. On offensively, there's at least something you do somewhat decent, and that's passing game. And you're going against the 102nd ranked defense, passing defense nationally in Oregon State. So there's reason for optimism that you can throw the ball against them. But that's where the optimism stops. I think this is going to be a blowout for Oregon State. I think they're going to rebound from their loss against UCLA. I think Mike Riley's going to have the troops focused. I'm going 37-17 Oregon State.
You know, I agree. The last 3 times Washington State has played Oregon State has outscored the Cougars 160-40. I just really don't see this game being close. You know, Oregon State is another stadium where it's tough to go on the road and win a ball game. Washington State hasn't won a Pac-10 road game since 2007. Washington State is last in the FBS in defensive yards given up, and you know, they're up against one of the better backs in the country. I just don't see this game being close. I look to see the Beavers win handily, 40-13.
You know, after the Beavers have lost a couple games lately to some teams they shouldn't have lost to, so I think some eyebrows have been raised in the conference and around the nation about whether Oregon State's as focused as it should be, or maybe even are they as talented as we thought they were at the beginning of the year. Oregon State has a really poor pass defense, as Joel mentioned earlier, and the run game's not that great either. It's only ranked 91st in the nation. I thought it would be better with Jaquez Rogers, but it's way down there. So it's a team with questions. On the other hand, Washington State has showed some signs of life here lately, and honestly, if the Beavers don't refocus, Oregon State could become their first Pac-10 victim. But I'm going to still go with Oregon State at home, 29-17.
Okay. Second team we want to talk about is Stanford, easily the second team in the Pac-10 ranking right now. They're going to play Arizona State. Jeremy, what do you think?
You know, Arizona State is bound to win one of these close games. You know, they've lost to Wisconsin by 1, Oregon State by 3, Southern Cal by 1, and I wouldn't be surprised at all, you know, if Arizona State pulls this one out against the Cardinal. Arizona State has an amazing team speed on defense and great special teams. Ranked 11th in the country in tackles for loss and 5th in the country on kickoff returns. Great speed. If they can win the battle of field position in this game, Stanford is going to have a tough day. I do see, however, offensively Stanford trumps Arizona State's defense. They are number 5 in the country in scoring offense, and even though Stanford goes on the road, you know, I think eventually Stanford is going to wear out the Sun Devils' defense. Andrew Luck is just, you know, going to be prove too much to handle. I see this game going 35-21 in favor of Stanford.
Yeah, Stanford's just, in my opinion, is just too much for Arizona State. As we talked about with Arizona State, in order to match Stanford, you've got to play basically a perfect game. And to this point, Arizona State has proven that they can't play a complete game. I'm going 41-20 on the road for Stanford.
Well, you know, honestly, yeah, this could be a trap game for Stanford, though. You know, they beat a pretty good Arizona team by 25 points and barely broke a sweat. And Arizona State, meanwhile, is trying to find some respect. You know, they lost earlier in the year to Cal, 50-17, I believe it was. And I don't think they want people to identify with them as the team that beat that badly. I think they want people to identify with them as the team that nearly beat Oregon and lost to them by 11 points or so. That was Oregon's closest game they've had this year. I think it's going to be a good matchup. However, I think Stanford pulls it out. I'm going to go with Stanford 33, Arizona State 25.
Go Cardinal.
Okay. Okay, so number 1 in the BCS right now is Oregon. They're going to play University of California. Jack, what's your take on the game?
Well, yeah, Oregon was miserable in the first half against Washington last week, but I don't think that's going to carry over to the Cal game. I think they'll be more focused this week. You know, under Mike Bellotti, Oregon had some troubles focusing at times in games. There was times when after the game I hear Bellotti say things like, you know, the guys just didn't come to play today. They just didn't bring their A game. I don't know why. Well, that's not going to happen with Chip Kelly's team. His team is laser-like focus all the time. I just don't think that's going to happen. But as bad as the Bears have been on the road, they've been really good at home. They've beaten UCLA, Arizona State, and Colorado at home. Nice wins. You might say, well, they're not that good of teams, but you know what? They've outscored them 137-31. And you be paying attention to that kind of a thrashing they've given those guys. So I think it's going to be a hard-fought game, but I see the Ducks winning, and I'm going to go with Oregon 41, Cal 27.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go with on this one. I'm going to go with Oregon on this one, 42-17. Even though Oregon has struggled in Memorial Coliseum and lost the last 4 times, and I think that this will actually be a close game early on. Cal does have the best defense in the Pac-10, and they lead the league in sacks. And I think they're going to pressure Oregon, and they're going to kind of stymie them for the first half. But like we said, as the game proceeds, I think it's just going to be too much offense for them to handle. Plus, I don't think to match Oregon, you've got to put up a lot of points, and Cal just doesn't have that firepower. I see it being 42-17.
Yeah, again, you're playing with the backup quarterback, Manchin. Just not enough firepower there. Ducks are really on a roll. Chip Kelly's got the guys focused. On a roll defensively, offensively, special teams. Like Joel was saying, the Ducks have not won in Berkeley since 2001. Still, Oregon is just too much firepower in the tanks. I'm going with Oregon 41-21.
Okay, we've got one more game to talk about this weekend. USC is going to go play Arizona, Joel.
Well, I think Arizona is favored by 4 points, and I think there's reason for optimism that Arizona has a great passing game. They lead the Pac-10 in passing yards, and they're going against USC, which is last in passing defense. But with all that said, I'm still going to go with the upset here. I'm going to go with USC. And I look back to where Arizona last week they couldn't find an answer to Stanford's offense. And mainly, Stanford runs a power offense, a power run game, and they use Andrew Luck on the play action. And who runs that exact same offense is USC. And I'm not saying that USC is the same offense or as good as Stanford's, but it's pretty close. They've got a great quarterback, great wide receivers, and some good runners. And I think ultimately it's going to be too much for Arizona. And I think this is a statement game for USC to kind of say, hey, we are still USC, and I'm going to go 37-27.
And as Lee Corso would say, I would say, not so fast, Joel.
Wouldn't say it.
USC's defense has given up 28 points a game this year. And from 2 years ago, that has trended up from 9 points a game. USC was at 9 points a game given up. 2008 trended up to 28 points. Great offensive teams. It's going to be a great offensive battle. I kind of see this, as Joel was saying, as a statement games for both teams. These two teams being in the same division next year in the Pac-12 South. I would give the edge to Arizona, just being a little bit better defensively and at home. I see it a little differently. I'm going to say Arizona 37, USC 30.
Not so fast. The Wildcats, honestly, were less than impressive against Stanford. They came out and they got bashed in the face a couple of times. And so what did they do? They tucked their tail between their legs, went back to their den and licked their wounds. And honestly, they never came back. I don't really have any stats that point to USC winning this game. I just have a hunch they're going to. I think Arizona might be a little bit demoralized after getting bashed so bad last week, and USC still wants to prove that they're USC. And so I'm going to go with USC 28 in a close one, Arizona 24.
Okay, there you have it. Pac-10 predictions for this week. We want to know, do you agree or do you disagree? Leave a comment, and be sure to check out the next video where we're talking about some national games.